Hi, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. I'm Tracy Johnson, and I want to thank you for taking the time to come and find out more about Radio Content Pro today. I will be getting started here in just a few minutes. In the meantime, if you want to get familiar with the tools in the webinar box, you can say hello in the chat room, chat box, say hello to each other, and we will get started with a demonstration of Radio Content Pro, something I'm really excited about, and I think you will be too. It's all coming up here, and we'll get started here in about 2 or 3 minutes. So again, thank you for coming in. Please stand by. We'll be getting started in just a moment. See a lot of people who are just signing in and logging on. Thank you for coming to the webinar. Again, I'm Tracy Johnson, for those of you who are just joining. And today I'm going to show you how to unleash your creative genius with the power of AI, and a new product that's been developed by a company called WP Media. I helped develop the product. I helped design it, help solve some of the problems that it addresses. And I can't wait to show you what that's all about and how it works. We're going to get started on it in about 2 minutes. In the meantime, say hello in the chat box and stand by. We'll get started here momentarily. Say hi to those of you who are joining online now and just saying hello. Chip from Peoria and Jay. Hi, Jay. Good to see you. And Mel McKay and Spiros from Greece. We do have people who signed up from all over the world, from New Zealand and Australia, some from Africa, coming from everywhere. And I know the time is not convenient for everybody because we do the best we can, but we are recording all of this. Norway checking in, Iceland checking in. That's fantastic. Thank you for being here today. Of course, a lot from the United States and Canada are signing in too. And I want to welcome you and thank you for taking your time and taking the time, especially at a very busy time of the year around the holidays, to find out more about Radio Content Pro. I think it's going to be a really good investment of your time, and I won't take up too much of it. We'll do this as quickly as we can. I'll show you some things. I'll take you through a live demo, and then I'll answer your questions at the end of the presentation. So I'm going to give it about another 30 seconds or a minute, and then we're going to launch into the presentation. So stand by. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. I'm Tracy Johnson, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to introduce you to an exciting new product called Radio Content Pro. I'll show you how to unleash your creative genius with the power of AI. I'm going to explain what Radio Content Pro is. Then I'm going to take you into a live demo, and I'll answer all of your questions at the end of the presentation. Now, if you have questions, you can just type in the chat box. You can see the chat icon right there on your screen. Just type it or just click on it and then type your question in there. And at the end, I'll answer all the questions at the same time, and I'll stay on as long as you have questions about Radio Content Pro and how it can benefit your company, your station, your show. And yes, this is being recorded. You'll get a link later on today, and you'll be able to watch it on demand and share it with anybody you like, anytime you like. This whole idea started about a year ago. I took a good long look at the radio industry and I talked to a lot of clients and colleagues and managers, some vice presidents of programming, some presidents of companies, some personalities, programmers, sales managers, promotions managers, operations managers, some friends, a lot of people in the industry. And one thing was really clear, and that's that your job today is harder than it has ever been before. And it's because you are expected to do more with less. You have higher expectations. There are more problems. Is more pressure, and you're asked to do it with fewer resources. That's a problem. You have to crank out social media posts and videos and blogs, meetings, and client responsibilities, and you're dealing with sales more than ever before and interviews. There's a lot of pressure. And it's all because your company is trying to replace declining traditional broadcast revenues. But you have to do it with fewer resources, fewer tools, because those budgets aren't getting bigger, are they? Those budgets have been slashed as your expectations have gotten higher. It's caused a lot of problems. It's caused a lot of content problems inside radio. There's less and less time being devoted to creating unique, original, organic entertainment, and more time chasing those things that are urgent that you have to do. Now, technology should help, but you've got to know how to use that technology to your advantage. That's when I started working with a team of developers to solve the biggest problems that you face today, to, as I said before, try to unleash your creative genius using the power of AI. And I think the team has nailed it. Now, you've probably started using AI in some form, or at least messing around with it. Maybe you're on ChatGPT or the Anthropic product, Claude, and some of the other Chat GPT type products, some of the other AI products. How are you doing with it? Have you figured out how to use it best to your advantage? The challenge is to develop an AI platform that solves radio's biggest content problems. Now, one of those is being creative. Personalities need time to create and not just fill slots. Yet I hear most shows spending about 90% of their time being hunters and gatherers. They're looking for content, trying to find topics and things to talk about. And they spend about 10% of their time turning those things into entertainment. And we need to reverse that by eliminating the need to search through endless services, some of them that you subscribe to and you pay for, and websites and Google alerts and all of the tools that you use looking for relevant content. We need to turn that ratio around. You should be spending 10% of your time looking for topics and 90% of your time turning it into ideas and entertainment and being creative with it. But that's a problem because of all the time pressures that everybody faces. I also want to inspire unique content in a world where everybody has the same stories, the same surveys, the same lists, the same weird news stories and Florida man stories. I mean, how many times do I have to hear about a fifth grade girl that brought a goat to her science class? That same content shows up, it gets into social media feeds, and it ends up on several radio stations. And a lot of times the same ideas get circulated because everyone's sharing their login information and sharing the same prep services. And you'll hear almost exactly the same content on 4 or 5 or 6 radio shows on the same day. That means your content isn't nearly as fresh as it could be. And one of the reasons it's not fresh is because most shows are outdated because the prep was put together yesterday. If you're subscribing to a traditional show prep service, the morning show comes in at 3:30, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and the content was created for them the afternoon before, maybe early evening before. It's already dated in a world that moves really fast. And then when the afternoon show comes in, the morning show's already used the good stuff, and the content is stale anyway because it's almost 24 hours since it was created for them. It needs to be real time, and it needs to move faster than that. Another problem is writing. If you listen to information segments on the radio today, 95% of them are thrown together at the last minute. They're not usually previewed or pre-read. And it sounds like the personalities are often reading a script that was written to be read and not spoken. And why is that? Because it was written to be read and not spoken. That's what comes off the wire services. It comes off of the news services. It comes off the internet. If you get it from a blog or a service that is web-based, it is written to be read, not written to be spoken. And that applies to news and sports and entertainment segments. But as we already established, who has time to write in a conversational manner? And who has time to put it in your own voice before you put it on the air? So writing needs to be improved. You also need perspective. Can't tell you how many times it frustrates me every week to hear personalities talking about what happened instead of how they feel. I don't want listeners talking about the story they heard on the radio. I don't want them talking about, did you hear what happened? I want them talking about what you said about it. That means you need to have a point of view, a hot take, or a perspective, but it takes time and it takes inspiration to find those things. It takes time to sit with that. And that's one of the reasons I want to turn that whole equation around from 90% hunter-gatherer to 10% hunter-gatherer. And then if you're going to do that, by the time you talk about anything on the radio, the listeners who care about what you're talking about already know it. It's not about the topics you choose. It's what you do with those topics. And yes, the topics are important, but that's why most shows settle for low-hanging fruit content. Another problem is promotion. Your job on the radio is to get more quarter hours. If part of your job is to get more traffic on your website, your job is to drive social media views or page views on your blog. Now, you can do that with teases and promotion. But teases take time, they take skill, and they take talent to write teases that actually drive response and deliver listeners. And you're in the social media business. Most shows today spend more time working on their blogs and social posts than preparing their show. That's insane. But at the same time, you have to do it because someone is making you do it. I work with some companies who are requiring their personalities to post 4 original blog posts every day. Every personality. If it's a 4-person morning show, that means that morning show needs to crank out 16 pieces of blog content per day. It's driving them absolutely crazy. Well, I've got a solution for you. Radio Content Pro has solved all of these things. Radio Content Pro has developed a team of bots, AI bots, that gather, organize, and curate content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It never stops. It's always on. It gathers it from verified, trusted sources and converts it into new content that's customized for your character. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? It's always new. It's always fresh. It's like having a full-time producer that's out doing your hunting and gathering for you, collecting content 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Then they put it in one place on one dashboard. The result is it is always new. It's always fresh. It's always now. So when your afternoon show comes in, they're looking at a dashboard of new content that's fresh to the minute that the morning show didn't even see because it's brand new. It's just been created. Now, each piece of content is edited. It's collected and then it's curated into highlights. This is important. I was showing this to a personality yesterday and I showed it to her and she said, you know what drives me crazy and creates so much stress is when I go to any source and there's all this information and there's videos and there's pictures and there's ads and there's links to other sources. And I've got to sort through all of this and it's endless. I've got to sort through all of it before I can figure out what the article's even about. We've solved that. Each piece of content is edited into highlights. It's like having a full-time editor who takes everything that's been hunted and gathered and provides just the highlights that you need to know and takes out all the details that you don't need to know. You can make quick decisions as to whether you want to deal with this on the air, if you want to put it into a blog, you want to put it in a social media post, or what you want to do with it, or if you want to skip it and move on to the next thing. It also is a creative copywriter that's writing stories the way that you speak, the way that you talk in a conversational style. The bots rewrite the original content and curate it with a personality. This is like having a full-time writer that takes all of that off your plate. So you always have something that's written for the spoken word. Then it suggests ways that you can use that content, not only on your show, not only on your station, but on your digital platforms as well. It's like having a digital marketing team that'll help you with blogs, posts, videos, and more. Showed it to a friend of mine who consults in some small markets just a couple of days ago. And he took the tools in Radio Content Pro, and within 45 minutes, had created 10 blog posts for his client that were published, done, ready to go. And he said, in most cases, that client is lucky to post 10 blog posts in a week. He did it in 45 minutes. And it was basically copy and paste. I'm going to show you how that works in just a second. It also writes amazing teases for every segment, and it will deliver more listening appointments. It's like having a marketing expert that's constantly thinking about how to add more quarter hours to your show, which does what? It drives ratings, which builds fans, which drives revenue, which results in bonus checks. So it's like having a marketing expert with teases that will drive more attention to what it is that you're doing. Now, one of the things I said that we needed in this business more is not collecting topics to talk about, but what you do with those topics. So you've got a personal talent coach here. There's 3 hot takes, perspectives, and a point of view. So you have something to say about the content and not just pass it on as information. It's like having that talent coach that's whispering in your ear and inspiring your personality. Then there's 3 fresh ideas that will help you discover what to do with each story in a way that only you can do it. It's like having a brainstorming team that's constantly collaborating with you. They'll give you topics, they'll give you ideas, and they'll give you conversation starters, whether you want to use that as a phone topic or use it to start a conversation on social media. And if you need the details, if you need more information than is in the summary, it's right there if you need it, right at your fingertips. One click, and you've got a research director with all the facts. But the best way to understand what this is all about is to show you what it's all about. So I'm going to take you now on a quick tour of Radio Content Pro, and I'll give you a demonstration of what Radio Content Pro is all about. Stand by while we switch to another view, and I'll take you into the details of how it looks and what it'll do for you, okay? So what you're looking at now is a story that was published just a few minutes ago. Again, the bots are going through the internet, through verified, trusted sources, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And this story shares surprisingly youthful dating advice to find love with a younger flame. And this is in the weird news category. I'll show you all the categories in just a little bit. The gist is the headlines. Remember I told you that the first thing that you see is, in fact, hold on just a second. I'm going to turn off my camera so you can see the full screen. That should let you see everything a little bit better. The gist is the headlines of the story. It's usually 3 or 4 or 5 bullet points that will tell you what this is all about. It highlights it for you. And a lot of personalities will use this to say, okay, this isn't something for me. I'm not interested in this. It's not for me. And you move on. You'll find another story. Or it helps you find what the important facts of the story are, and you can decide to go a little bit further, and it weeds out all the details that don't matter. In this case, here's Cher, a 77-year-old woman who suggests that all women should experience dating a younger man. She herself is in a relationship with a man who's 40 years younger. And she openly discussed her thrilling love life and views on romantic age gaps. That's what the story is about. Now, I told you that it rewrites the content in a conversational style. That's the summary. In this case, here's what the AI wrote. It seems like Cher's personal formula for romance involves a significant dash of youth. At 77, she's making headlines not just for her enduring career, but also for her spicy love life advice, encouraging all the ladies to take a walk on the younger side at least once. Leading by example, the goddess of pop is currently rocking the love boat with a boyfriend that's 40 years her junior. Age, Cher's playbook, little more than a number, and clearly that philosophy extends to the dating scene. So let's hear it for love with no age limit. Just make sure you're not robbing the cradle so hard that you end up in a nursery rhyme. So as you can see, it flows very well. It's conversational. Yeah, there might be some things in there that don't fit your character, that don't fit your voice. So it's really easy to edit that. So if you were doing an entertainment report, for example, or a trending report, or you were using this in a newscast, I would highlight that, copy it, paste it into your show prep survey or into your show prep sheet, and edit it just a little bit, and you're done. You're good to go. Another way to use that is you could open this up and look at that, and you can ad lib from it because you've got all the highlights that are right there. Done for you. Just like that, the things that are important. The headline is written to be a headline if you're making a social post about it or a blog post. Very convenient. You could cut and paste this. Shares surprisingly youthful dating advice. Find love with a younger flame. Copy that, paste it as the headline. Now go up and get this story. Copy that story, paste it in. You've got a blog post. You've got a social media post. Edit it just a little bit if you want to, but you're probably good to go with it exactly the way it is. Mark that off your list and move on to something that's more exciting and more important. Now, the tease, if you're doing this as a news story, if you're doing it as a piece of content, if you're doing it as entertainment story, use this tease. This pop legend's love life is turning back time. Find out her secret in 7 minutes on Hollywood 360. That's a better tease than about 90% of the teases that radio shows are cranking out today. And that's because it's hard to write teases. Radio content pros figured it out. And the tease, I'm going to show you some more examples of this, but the teases are absolutely amazing. And it's there for every piece of content. Next section is responses. Remember, I told you in the presentation that you need a point of view, a perspective, or a hot take. Got it for you. One of the big problems that I hear on radio shows today is there's not an opinion. It's more details, information, and facts, and light on perspective. Here's an opportunity for you to get that perspective inspired, to inspire something you say. And we give you 3 responses for every topic. The edgy response is something that would be a more aggressive show, rock show, somebody who's maybe cynical or sarcastic or irreverent. Here's an edgy response example. In a world obsessed with age, Cher's basically lighting a dumpster fire with love advice. Next up, a reality show where grandmas date college guys. Hey, stay classy, Cher. Not bad, right? If that's your personality, if that's your character, you could probably work with that and you could use that. Now, the mainstream response is something that a positive, upbeat show would do, somebody like a Ryan Seacrest or an Elvis Duran. Here's an example. Cher proves that love doesn't have a curfew, and her candid share might just be the nudge that you're looking for. After all, if it's good enough for Cher, who's going to argue with that, right? And the family-friendly response is something for a softer station, the ones that are safe to listen to with kids in the car, targeting a much family-friendly audience. They say age is just a number, and Cher's certainly dialing up the love with her younger beau. Here's to finding love at any stage of life. You go, Cher. That's awesome. So 3 different responses. You may not use them all. You won't use them all. And you may not use any of them exactly the way that they're written, but it gets you going in a direction so you have something to say about it, so you have a take on it. Okay, so it'll inspire your response. The next section are the topics. And the topics are designed to be something that you can do with it. It can be a phone topic. It can be a further discussion or a conversation that you take to social media. For example, how does the dating dynamic change when there's a big age gap, and what unique challenges do couples face in this? Should society rethink its views on age and relationships, or are there valid reasons for the raised eyebrows? And in what non-romantic areas of life should we be embracing youthful approach regardless of age. Now, most of those topics need to be reworked a little bit. Think of this as being like a loose string on a sweater. And you start with this and start pulling that string and see where it goes, where it takes your imagination. Again, the idea isn't to say, take this idea and do it exactly the way it's written, but use this as a starting point to inspire something that you can make yours, that can be absolutely magic. Now, if you want more details, if you want to find out what is behind that story, and if that's not enough for you, there's a link right here to the source of the article. So I can click on that. It will open up, and here's the entire story that came from the Daily Star in this case. Here's what Cher says. There's what she looks like. You get a picture. If there's audio or video on here, you can grab that and use that. And you've got all the details. And you see how long this article is. You can see what the personality was talking about when she said that it gets overwhelming and there's just too much content. And it's hard to go through. But if you need more details, it's there for you. And you can go there and get it. So that's what every page of content looks like. And again, it's updated constantly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Here's an example of what your dashboard looks like. We're looking at all the content right now. I'm going to show you the 6 products in just a minute. But what I want to show you here is what you're looking at here is all of the products in one dashboard. In other words, I'm logged into all of the Radio Content Pro services, all 6 of them. And I'll go over what those 6 are here in just a second. Now, I loaded this just before the webinar started. I'm going to refresh it now, and you can see how much content is publishing just in the 20 minutes or so since we started. Newest story is Taylor Swift and Emma Stone, a timeline of their Hollywood friendship. There's Chris Martin's story. There's, let's see, there's 10 stories. There's another Taylor Swift story. Imagine that, a lot of Taylor Swift stories. And there's another one. Still haven't found where we were. There's 20 pieces of content. So there's been about 30 pieces of content or more. Still haven't gotten down to where we were. There's a ton in here. From Drake, The Voice, Drake's Mystery, The Killers Extend, Rebel, 10 must listen to Christian music albums of all time. Again, I'm logged into all the formats, but we still haven't gotten to where we were just before the webinar started. So you can see how much content is being published, and it's being published constantly. But this is what it looks like. If you want to filter it, all the categories are over on the right side. From pop culture news, Christian music news, you can see all these, a lot of music. I'll show you the daily features in just a second. There's animal stories and trending stories, the things that are the hottest and they're being talked about the most. The love and relationships, weird news, good news, human interest, sex and relationships, alternative news, extreme sports, faith, love, and hope, jokes of the day, heroes homage, patriots pulse, urban fashion and lifestyle. So tons of categories, and new ones are being created all the time. Let's go into this Taylor Swift story. I'll show you another example. Taylor's fans are bombarding Kim Kardashian's Instagram with snake emojis. Social media onslaughts in response to a recent reference to the star's feud from 2016. It's concentrated in the comments section of the Skims founder's Instagram post. History's repeating itself. Here's your tease. Guess who's back? Taylor's fans just turned an A-list Instagram into an emoji jungle. Edgy response: as if Kim K needed more drama, the Swifties just turned Instagram into a no-fly zone for sanity. Snake emojis? Originality's got to be dead, huh? And here's some topics, the things that you can do with it. That's the one that just published. Again, lots of categories. Let's go into some of them. These are the daily topics, and we're looking just at the daily features right now. So again, I can click on any of these boxes and it'll filter the entire database just by the categories of content that are there. The daily features are, I love this one. Headlines of the day is awesome. It takes all of the important news, national and world news, and it rewrites it so your newscast is basically done. And it's up there every day. GOP candidates spar in the heated debate that took place last night. And look how it's written for spoken word, not written to be read. A night of zingers and low blows as the GOP presidential hopefuls exchanged verbal punches during a particularly fiery debate. Evidently forgetful of the play nice mantra taught in kindergarten, the candidates unleashed a spectacle that hardly spared any insults. And it gives you a couple of details. Kevin McCarthy saying goodbye to Congress. Gaza crisis warning. Gunman shoots up UNLV. Wisconsin fake electors. Hold on Ukrainian aid. McDonald's unveils a new spinoff, Cosmex. Boris Johnson faces the music. New Mexico. Norman Lear passed away. Norman Lear was 101. Wow. Norman Lear passed away. But there's your news. It's done for you. It's written for you. It's ready to go. If you do horoscopes on your show, not many stations do horoscopes anymore, but I know some shows still do. Here you go. Daily horoscopes, and it's written with a perspective, with a point of view, and it's clever. Today, you might be flirting with the idea of learning a new skill. Go ahead, juggle those Italian classes with salsa dancing. It's the perfect day to become a jack of all trades and the master of fun. One of those for each of the zodiac signs. Trivia. If you do a trivia feature every day, here's 10 trivia questions and answers, of course. What's the name of the given to the boundary around a black hole beyond which nothing can escape, not even light? It's the event horizon. Some of them a little harder than others. Some you probably won't want to use because they're too difficult. But in what year did the Berlin Wall fall, making the advance of German reunification? 1989. It's a good place to start. What's the capital of Canada? Ottawa. So a lot of shows do trivia features. There's games like $1,000 Minute and things like that. There's 10 questions and answers done for you. Great place to start. And in some cases, you might be able to use them right out of the box exactly as they are. Here's a feature called Today in Music History. You might not be doing a feature like this, but there's some really good stories in here too about the music you might be playing. And they're always curated from the oldest to the newest. So if you're a classic hits or a classic rock station, here's a story about Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult. This is the day that the band released their hit, Don't Fear the Reaper, which could eventually become a rock staple. It's the kind of song that had millions reevaluating their fear of grim reapers and cowbells. For those who can drive past a cemetery without whistling this tune, you're truly the few, the proud, the tone deaf. So Black or White hit number one in 1991. Tons of content in Today in Music History. Similarly, here's Today in History, a day that will live in infamy. Sorry, we're skipping this one. It's the wrong vibes. Today in 1941, you know what that is. That's Pearl Harbor Day. Star Trek goes into cinemas. Broken Wings by Mr. Misters on the charts. Outcast is number one in Billboard this day in 2003. Most downloaded holiday song. So just tons of content, tons of information. Random facts. If you've got a wacky personality who just pops in and says things that are kind of strange, this is for you. There's 10 random facts a day that are put right in front of you, and it might inspire something odd or something weird or something that's a little bit different. Jokes of the day. These are basically dad jokes, and there's 3 categories. Again, edgy, mainstream, and family friendly. Why did the smartphone go to therapy? It lost its sense of touch ID, and now it can't unlock its true feelings. What do you call an alligator in a vest? An investigator. 9 per day, 9 questions per day, some edgier, mainstream, and lighter. Maybe you use them, maybe you don't. Maybe you save them and go back in time and look for them and save them for one big feature at some point. Birthdays. Here's today's birthdays. Similarly, Larry Bird, a real feather in the cap for basketball. Some of it's kind of cheesy. Feather in the cap for basketball. A legend who soared with the Celtics and now hoops it up on his special day. Larry didn't need Twitter to prove that he could fly. He just showed up on the court. Tom Waits. So those are the daily features. Those come out every day. They're sitting there waiting for you. If you want to look at, let me take you into a couple of the other categories, and I'll show you faith, hope, and love, kind of good news type stories. Finding divine favor in marriage. It's more than just luck. 8 ways to make your husband feel special and reignite the spark. Discover the source of everlasting peace with this heartfelt prayer. Sprinkle words of encouragement like confetti. Heavenly reinforcements. So as you can see, it's got just about everything. Now, if you are interested in a specific topic or a specific piece of content and you want to say, hey, I wonder what is available in all of Radio Content Pro for it. Use the search box. Search box is awesome. And so what's the biggest celebrity in the world right now? Yep, Taylor Swift. Let's do a search for Taylor Swift. And here's everything on Taylor. Here's the most recent story all the way going back. Here's that one that we looked at before. There's already a new one out. Star-studded baby bump debut, Suki Waterhouse, Robert Pattinson, and Taylor Swift shine in New York. Opens up about her feud. We looked at that story a little bit ago, how Kenny Chesney's generosity made her say cha-ching. And you can see that all these Taylor Swift stories have been published today. This is all December 7th. So there's 10 Taylor Swift stories today. And again, each one of them, you've got the headlines, you've got a story that you can use on the air, you've got the headline that you can use on social media. And by the way, some people have asked if the content is copyright free, and it is. You can't go to the original source and cut and paste, but you can cut and paste or copy and paste anything in Radio Content Pro because it's all been curated, it's all been rewritten, and you don't have to worry about that. Here's your responses, here's your topics, and then you can go to the article source. So let's take a look and see a little bit deeper, and then I'll start answering some questions. You might be wondering, what are those brands? You saw all those categories. Not all those categories don't come with every single opportunity. Here's the products. There are 6 Radio Content Pro products. They're all available now. And I'll talk to you about the friends and family pricing in just a second, but let me show you the available products. So first of all, it's RCP Buzz. It's designed for today's contemporary pop stations, like if you're a CHR or a Hot AC, this one's for you. RCP Edge is for edgier contemporary rock stations like active rock and alternative stations. Those are ones that are going to use the edgy response mostly. You're going to get the sex category, not the love and relationships category, for example. RCP Country is designed for country stations with a contemporary presentation. I'll talk about some of the classic country here in just a second. RCP Mainstream is for AC stations or stations that emphasize a contemporary family-friendly content, or any station that's targeting adults. RCP Spirit is for Christian stations that emphasize positive, wholesome content, inspiring content. And hip hop, it's for hip hop and rhythmic CHR stations that have an edge. Now you're wondering, there's not one for my format. Maybe you're a classic rock, classic hits, an oldie station, or somebody that does classic urban or classic hip hop, is a little bit older. That's coming soon. In the first quarter of next year, there'll be new products called RCP Classic for classic rock, classic hits, and oldies. RCP Classic for rhythm. RCP Hispanic information. There'll be separate ones for news and for sports, which I can't wait to get those released. We're already working on those. And there'll be new products that are coming out on a regular basis. But those are the 6 that are available right now. If you would like to participate in, if you'd like to be in it, you can go to radiocontentpro.com, and click on the Unlock RCP. Get your first week for free. So you can sign up for it. You can fill out the short form. You'll get your first 7 days free. You do have to put in your credit card. You get your first 7 days free, and you'll be applying to reserve it in your market, because each of these products is market exclusive. So if you're a local radio station in Boise, Idaho, and you want the RCP Spirit, the Christian format, you can apply for that to get it. And then you have to wait for Radio Content Pro to approve you, because if somebody else already has that product in your market, obviously it's not available to you. It doesn't take long to get approved. It usually happens in just a few minutes, or at least a few hours, depending on where you are in the world. Once you get approved, you'll get a link, and then you can get the first week for free. After 7 days, if you like it, you don't have to do a thing. It'll start charging your credit card every month for the monthly fee. If you decide you don't want it, all you have to do is cancel before your week is up. Now, here's all the questions about how it works. I'm going to click on a pricing page. You've seen everything here. I'm going to click on the pricing page and you can see what this is all about. This is annual pricing. If you want to sign up for a year, it saves you a few dollars. This is friends and family pricing. That is Radio Content Pro made this available to me because I helped them develop it and said through the end of December, make it available at these rates. At the end of December, on January 1st, these rates are going to go up by at least 30% and maybe double. They haven't decided yet exactly how high that's going to go, but you can lock in your rate at these prices between now and December 31st. On January 1st, I can't help you with that anymore, but you can get it for $59 a month if you're in a market that's less than 600,000. If you're in a market between 600,000 and 1.5 million, it's $79 a month. And if you're in a major market over 1.5 million, that'll cost you $99 a month. So $100 a month. I showed this to an operations manager for a cluster of stations yesterday. And he said, wait a minute, let me get this straight. I got 2 show prep services on one of my stations right now. I'm running 2 minutes of barter per day. Our commercials are $100 a piece. They're breaking up the 2 minutes of barter into 4 commercials, 4 30-second commercials. So they're taking up, it's costing me $400 a day. And you can give me a better service for $99 a month. And I can turn that barter inventory back to the sales manager because I'm going to be a hero. Signed up for it on the spot. And you can sign up for it. You can reserve it in your market. You can sign up for it on the spot as well. And I want to make that available to you today. I want to give you the opportunity to do that. I'm going to activate a link here that will pop up on your screen. So you can click on it. Again, it's the friends and family pricing. You should be able to see that now. And if you want to click on that and go to it, you will be able to take advantage of that between now and December 31st. All right. That's what Radio Content Pro is all about. And with that, I'm assuming that there's going to be some questions. I haven't been watching the chat during the presentation, but let me go back to the beginning and I'll answer the questions as they have come up, and I'll stay on and I'll keep answering them as we go along here. So the first question comes from Yvonne, who says, will Radio Content Pro include content that works for adult R&B? Will it have format-specific content? The answer is yes. I think I probably just answered that for you. The RCP Urban Classic or R&B Classic, I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be called, but that will be coming out in the first quarter of 2024. Now, you will not be able to get pricing, friends and family pricing, after January 1st. And obviously this product doesn't come out until after January 1st. So if you want friends and family pricing at $59 a month, you should sign up for one of the existing services, probably either hip hop or CHR, Hot AC, which is Buzz, or maybe Mainstream. Just get in at $59 a month. And then when the new brand comes out, you'll be able to switch to that brand. You switch to that product. So you'll have the R&B at your pricing locked in. But if you don't lock in the pricing, then it's going to be at whatever rate Radio Content Pro is charging at that time. I hope that answers your question. If that's not clear, just let me know and I'll go into a little bit more detail on that. Timo says, will it also help with creating teases and hooks? Yes. I showed that to you in the demo. It has a tease for every piece of content. The headline is also a great way to start developing hooks. You can turn a lot of the headlines into teases, and you can take those teases and reconstruct them just a little bit, and you'll have multiple teases for the same piece of content. Mike says, if many people subscribe to this service, won't it be just like prep service are today with multiple stations running the same thing? The answer is no, because the content is different in every one of the services. If you sign up for Radio Content Pro CHR in your market, you're the only one that's getting those pieces of content, and it's curated differently. Now, there might be a lot of those Taylor Swift stories might be in Buzz, might be in mainstream, might even show up in the hip hop, but they're coming from different sources and they'll be curated differently. So everybody who's getting them is going to get different ideas, different hot takes, different teases. It's all unique. Now, it's all unique to your market. It's true that someone in another market is going to have access to the same content. But who cares, right? You only care about other stations in your same city. That's why I wouldn't share your login with other stations, because then they would start seeing the same content that you would have. Sadie says, will there be royalty-free photos to go with the blog posts and stories? Great question, Sadie, and you're getting ahead of me just a little bit. The answer is that Radio Content Pro is developing that feature. There's several things on their development roadmap, and I'm not going to go into details with that because I don't know exactly what I'm talking about with all of it. But I know that was one of the things that was available at one time in the development process. They weren't happy with the quality of a lot of the AI generated photos that were going with the stories. And so that's been delayed right now, but it's in development and is being worked on. And that is a feature that you can expect at some point on the development roadmap down the road. It's not going to be it's not available right now, and it's not going to be available right now at launch, but that is something that is coming. And somebody's probably asking about audio and video too. I haven't gotten to it yet, but that's typical. Somebody would ask about that. And that's also on the development roadmap. It's not available right now. There's not audio cuts available right now, but that is something that is also going to be coming at some point. Chip says, as you started talking about Cher, my station started playing We All Sleep Alone by Cher. There's a deep cut. I played that as a current at one point. So I think it's a sign, Chip. It's a sign from God. Mike says, does it have the ability to mine for local content? You're all getting ahead of us. Yes, but not right now. That has not been released yet. It will mine for local and regional content in the future. And that, again, is on the development roadmap. It might happen in the first quarter of next year, might be second quarter of next year, but that is coming. So right now, it is not local. It will be local at some point. What does the report a problem with this content mean? Great question, Michael. I'm glad you asked that. Report a problem with this content. We've tested this for months and months and months. And we've made the AI better. They've written the prompts differently. The character, it's been a constant tweaking and fine tuning to get this right and to get it accurate. Number one is that the sources that are being used are trusted and verified. However, since Radio Content Pro grabs content so quickly after a story gets published, sometimes the source will publish a story and they'll get the story wrong. They'll usually correct that story in the next half hour, 45 minutes, or an hour. But by that time, Radio Content Pro has already grabbed the content, curated it, and published it. And we can't catch every possible flaw. In a 2-week period in, I believe, October, maybe early November, over a 2-week period, more than 98% was completely error-free. We found very few problems. We found like 2 or 3 problems over the course of 2 full days. And they were small things that would probably go unnoticed. But if you ever notice there's a problem with this content, that there's something inaccurate, we want you to tell us. We want you to click that button and say, here's a link to this story. This story's not right. This trivia, the answer to this trivia question isn't correct, because that way we can correct it. And it also helps us with the writing the prompts and fine tuning the AI and continuing to develop it. By the way, that's not unique to this service, this content service. If you really scrutinize all of the show prep services and all of the other content services that you know of and have seen, probably getting more errors than that, because a lot of those errors will be from human curation, where humans actually get it wrong more than the machines do. Dave Mason says, hey, do you need a reason to get this? It's copyright free. Right. Exactly. And especially to Yvonne's question, will there be graphics and photos that you can use that are copyright free? That's coming. Jay Philpott also asks about the legality of using images. Can it identify rights-free content? We cannot identify rights-free content, but every piece of content that's published on Radio Content Pro is rights-free because it's our original content, their original content. It's not the original content as it was published by Billboard Magazine or the Daily Star. It's using that as a source and rewriting it. So you get it rights free. And it'll be the same if there's ever a video or graphics that are posted. Anything that shows up on Radio Content Pro, you will be able to use. Jay says, how does RCP deal with content behind a paywall that I might or might not subscribe to? We don't go into any paywall content. So any content that's behind a paywall, we're not scraping it. We can't get to it. You can't get to it. We can't get to it. So you don't have to worry about that at all. Mel asks about barter. Are there barter opportunities or is it cash only? There are barter opportunities. If you want to do barter, we can work out barter. I would definitely recommend cash for a variety of reasons. I don't think the barter opportunities are the best way to go anymore for most services, especially one that's this inexpensive at $59, $79, $99 a month. I know budgets are tight, and I know that a lot of stations are saying anything with cash, we're not spending it. But in the to the point of the discussion that I had yesterday with the operations manager, who said, "Wait a minute, every time I do the math on how much revenue we're giving up and how many commercials we're paying for services that are inferior, it makes my head spin." He did the math and said they were giving up about $12,000 a month in revenue opportunities that could be filled with local commercials to get 2 show prep services. And Radio Content Pro is $59 a month for that market, or $79, $99 a month. Probably don't want to go that route. But if you really want to go to barter, there's a link on the pricing page at Radio Content Pro, and you can ask about the barter opportunities and figure that out. Jay says a timestamp with the date would be helpful. Not a bad idea. Could absolutely do that, Jay. I will pass that on. And in fact, the Radio Content Pro people are probably watching on this webinar now, and they will probably take that into consideration. It is listed in the on the dashboard in the order of most recent to oldest piece of content. So you know anything that publishes is most recent to oldest. But yeah, a timestamp shouldn't be too hard to put on there. Does this fee cover use on more than one station? The fee covers use, it's one station. There's really nothing that anyone could do to stop you from using it on multiple stations in the market. But you can absolutely spread it around if you want to share your login, I suppose. Don't recommend it. It's kind of like sharing your HBO login. Certainly wouldn't recommend that, but and especially at the prices, if you wanted to use it on more than one station, especially in the same market, it would probably make sense to subscribe to the one that fits that station, fits that format the best. What kind of protection on the fee exists after the expiration of the first term? You are, as far as I know, and this is a question for Radio Content Pro, but as far as I know, as long as you remain a member, as long as you remain a subscriber, you are protected with that fee. Now, if you cancel, if your credit card expires and you are and you're no longer a member, you would be joining at the whatever fee is active at that current time. That's my understanding anyway. So don't quote me on that. That's a Radio Content Pro question. If you go to the site, there's a place to contact them, and you could ask them for sure to verify that. But that's my understanding. And that's not just the first term, but if you become an annual member, it's going to automatically renew at the end of that year at the same fee as it was when you first signed up. Next question. Yvonne says, thank you. Chip says, how will you get content exclusive if your station streams online? Not quite sure what that refers to, Chip. If you want to be a little clearer on that, go ahead and do that. How will you get content exclusive if your station streams online? Not sure what you mean. Send that along and clarify that, and I will address that the best way I can. Can RCP, here's the audio question. Can you find and deliver audio like last night's comedians and artist audio? The answer to that is yes, Jay. We're not offering that right now. And the reason for it is this, is the RCP team developed a tool that can, on any of the sources that they're going to, it can convert the audio from a video or the actual audio into an MP3 and publish it on the page. Now, the problem is that when the AI is going to that page, it's grabbing all of the video and all of the audio there. So you'd be getting a lot of junk. You'd be getting commercials, and you'd be getting long form videos, and you'd be getting video snippets as teases from content that the article isn't about. And it was kind of junking up the cleanliness and the ease of use of the core of what's happening there. So that's a problem they haven't solved yet, but it's, again, on the development map, and you can look for something like that to be coming up at some point down the road. Another question from Jay. Does RCP maintain an archive of material created for each client that can be referred to later? Answer is yes. If you subscribe, you can go into the archives and see everything since Radio Content Pro was reset sometime in October with the most current version. And there's probably well over 100,000 pieces of content there overall. I don't know how much it is for each of the individual pieces, but you can go back into the archives of everything that is there. Does it go with a 1-year contract, or can you cancel after a month? Timo, good question. There's 2 different ways you can go. You can do an annual contract, and it saves you a little bit of money. I believe the friends and family pricing is $5.99, $7.99, $9.99, which saves you basically 2 months per year, 2 months of fees per year. So it'll save you $120 on the cheapest market and save you a couple of hundred on the most expensive. So it saves you a couple of months if you go with the annual. You can also go month to month, and if you don't like it, you can cancel at any time. But remember, if you cancel at any time, it opens that service up to anybody else in your local market. And also, if you decide you want to come back to it later, you can't get the friends and family pricing. It's going to cost more, and it's going to cost pretty significantly more once it gets launched. Will you be at CRS? No, not going to be at CRS this year, Michael. Would love to, but not going to be there this time. Jeff says, is this service truly market exclusive, or can the rock version potentially end up across the street when I'm running the urban version? No, it absolutely can show up across the street. That's what it means. It's market exclusive by format. Each product is unique. But if you subscribe to the urban version or the hip hop version, the rock version will probably be in your market. Absolutely. So it is not, it's not one station blocks all of the products out of your market. It takes that individual product out. So if you want it to be truly market exclusive, where you've got everything and nobody else in your market gets it, you'd have to subscribe to all 6 of them. Michael says it's understandable about the all format specific elements are in each product, but what about birthdays, today in history, animal stories, good news? Are all those like that in all products? Birthday, the daily features, birthdays, today in history, animal stories, not animal stories, today in history, birthdays, random facts, I believe the trivia questions, those would be the same in all the products. It's what you do with that. And the reason that would be the same in all the products is that in birthdays, and also in music news, today in music history, today in history, those type of things. If you're a rock station, you're not going to talk about today in music history, this happened in Motown. And if you are a pop station, you're not going to talk about Pink Floyd. So it really is still unique to your format based on that. But those are common, and those daily things are common. Now, animal stories, good news, those are coming from unique sources. So if you are subscribing to, like, I don't know exactly which categories are in which product, you can look at it on there, but you're getting content from different sources. All right. So the content for CHR is coming from a different source than the content that is coming to rock, for example. Silvano says, does RCP cover only the US market, European countries? It's worldwide. Now, there's not as much content in other countries as there is US and to an extent Canada, but it is available worldwide. It's available worldwide today. Would this service be available at some point for self-employed personalities who voice track for multiple stations in different markets? The answer to that is yes. I had a conversation with a voice tracker yesterday who's on in about 6 or 8 markets. It is available. You would be paying more than that for sure. More than the one license. You would be paying something more. You'd have to talk to the Radio Content Pro people to find out what that would be. But it's not like you have to license it for all of the stations or all of the markets. It would be something they would work out with you. Let's see what else is coming up here. I think we're getting close to the end of the question. Would this service be available? Same question. If your station streams online, okay, this is the clarification. If your station streams online, how can you be sure that other stations also streaming won't be using the same content? Well, you can't, Chip. I mean, if you stream online, you're streaming worldwide. But this is to provide market exclusive by local station. And if you look at the language on the Radio Content Pro site, it says market exclusive for local stations. It does not say local stations who stream worldwide. So there's no way that this product is going to be available and give you worldwide exclusivity. You wouldn't be able to afford it. So, I understand what you mean by that now. Thank you. Jay says some nice things. Jay is using some of the other services that I curate and represent, and said some nice things there that he's already using. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that very much. Can individuals subscribe or only by company station? Tom, individual stations can subscribe, and individuals can subscribe too. Doesn't really matter. But when you do subscribe, you'll be subscribing by market, and it'll ask you for a station, but you'll be subscribing by market. So if you, when you get to the question that says what station, just put individual or no station affiliation, and then talk about what market it is that you want to subscribe to. You can always get a great animal story from a Larry Lujak air check. That's true. Can you whip out the guitar on your wall and serenade us before you go? Very clever, Mike. Yeah, right. Like I can do that. I appreciate that. Thank you, though. Let's see if there's anything else here that I didn't get to. Several people have requested to speak. I'm not going to do that on this seminar, guys, but several people have raised their hand and said, I'd like to speak. I'm not even sure if you're still on. If you do have something to say, if you have something to ask and you want to ask that and get a question answered or make a comment on it, you can certainly do so. And I will stay on here for just a couple of more minutes until we run out of questions. If you have more questions, ask now. And again, if you are interested in Radio Content Pro, you can go and sign up for it right now, radiocontentpro.com. And you get it free for a week, but sign up between now and December 31st to get the friends and family pricing. June says, how do you set population stats for online streaming stations? Online streaming stations would be different, June. And you'd have to contact Radio Content Pro about that. If it's an online streaming station that is just the local radio station being rebroadcast on a stream, there's no additional charge for that. That's all part of the license fee. If you are a online streamer that is an online streamer only, you'd have to ask them what the cost of that would be. I would guess that it's probably going to be at the highest rate, would be my guess, because you're reaching a worldwide population. But I don't know the answer to that. You'll have to ask Radio Content Pro about that. And Hurricane Dave says it's good to see AI being used to help DJs not take jobs. I'll tell you a quick story, and if there's any more questions, ask them while I tell this story. And then we're going to wrap this one up. But I am old enough, and I've been in this business long enough that I was one of the first program directors in the country to use music scheduling software. I remember when Radio RCS first came out on the big 5 1/4 inch floppy disks. I was at a little radio station in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I was one of the first half dozen stations to use it. And I had so many people who said, I can't believe that you're using a computer to schedule music. Computers can't do what the human beings can do. No, they do it better. They don't do it for you. They take what's in your head. They take your experience and they make you more efficient. They make you better. And there were so many people at the time who said, computers are going to take away our jobs. Computers are going to make music directors irrelevant. Computers are going to make program directors irrelevant. But it didn't do that, did it? Computers made it possible for us to have a better product and create a better product. And 40 years later, I see AI coming along in almost exactly the same type of situation. And that's why I got involved in this product, because AI gives you the tools, the opportunity to be the best possible version of you if you learn how to use the tools. Don't look at it as a solution. Don't look at it as doing your job for you. Look at it as making it easier and better, more efficient, more effective, more creative, so you can be the best version of you possible, just like the computer did for us 40 years ago. AI is not going to take your job. Someone who knows how to use AI is going to take your job. And with that, one more question. Tom Jerdrum said, why did you price this product as affordable as you did? It seems like you could charge so much more. Okay, I'm going to pull back the curtain here, and I'm going to tell you the strategy behind this. Strategy behind it is we want you to use it. We want you to tell your friends about it. We want you to succeed with it. And we want to make it affordable for stations who are under budget pressure. We want to make it easy to say yes to. We want to make it a no-brainer to say yes to. We want it to be affordable for that personality or that program director or that operations manager who can't get their company to spring for 60 or 80 or $100 a month for this tool, that they'll pay for it out of their pocket. We want it to be at that price point where you can afford to do that, because we think, Radio Content Pro thinks, that in doing so, it's going to spread and it's going to be bigger and it's going to help a lot of people. And so we want you using it. We want you talking about it. And yeah, it's just, I have got another show prep service called Personality Magnet. It's $24 a month for daily show prep content that I personally curate every day, every weekday for the year. I make it $24 a month so you can use it. So that personality can do it. And the same concept comes out with this. It's that same idea. Now, it's not going to stay at those prices forever. It's going to get more expensive, and it's going to get aggressively more expensive. But by the time it does that, you're not only going to be locked in at a lower price, by the time it does that, it's going to be so efficient and you're going to be making money off of it. It's going to do a lot of things for you that you've never been able to do before. And finally, Lisa says, this project is going to do all the work that is exhausting to us. Yeah, exactly. Lisa is a voice tracker. She's a great voice tracker on Christian stations all over the country. And Really, you should seek her out. She's on some of the Hope FM stations, and she is a terrific personality. And she says it gives us on a silver platter everything except for my unique angle for the break. And she's exactly right. That's exactly what it does. And hopefully, some of the takes, the responses, and the topics that come in there will also inspire that unique angle or unique angles, especially for voice trackers. And I talked to Lisa about this yesterday, and I said, for voice trackers, if you're voice tracking 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 stations every day, by the time you get to that 5th or 6th time that you've performed the same piece of content on a different station, you are completely worn out. It's not fresh. It's not exciting. And the 5th version of it might be smoother, but it's not going to be better. If you're doing it differently every time with a different angle, a different hot take, a different piece of content that Radio Content Pro inspires, it's going to change your effectiveness in voice tracking. So I think it's a great tool for voice trackers. Looks like that's all the questions for now. If you think of anything later, you can always email me or go on Radio Content Pro and email them through the content, through the contact box. Again, thank you for taking the time. And if you have any other questions, you can always reach out to me anytime. Thank you very much. Have a great holiday season, everybody.